everybody, it's Tommy and welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing a Polly Pocket series, but this is kind of like a part 2 to my original series. So I would say like a couple of months ago I did a Polly Pocket series, and if you don't know, Polly Pocket is this toy that used to be around in the 90s. It's actually still around, but it's a lot different than it was when I was a kid. And basically they used to come in these little compact cases that were kind of like a compact case, like how you would open a blush or a like a powder or something. And inside would usually be some kind of themed bedroom, house. Some of them were Disney. I've seen Pokemon ones. So I did a series where I built a whole bunch of those, and most of them were Disney, I think. The very first one was just like a very traditional Polly Pocket house, and you guys loved them, and I get nothing but kind words whenever I do them. So, a couple weeks ago, I also decided during my fantasy week that I wanted to do a Mulan-style Polly Pocket house because she is a Disney princess that I love, that I have skipped time and time again for videos. And when I was doing that, I came across a different kind of Polly Pocket house. And in that video, I talked about doing possibly some more builds of that style. And so, we're doing them. And I'm really excited to share these with you because I really worked hard on these to make them as accurate and as beautiful as I possibly could. So the difference between these ones and like the more traditional ones is these are actually styled like a dollhouse. So they would actually look like a little house, and then somewhere in the dollhouse it would have a crack in it, and you would crack it open, and then that's when you would get to play with the inside. So this is Cinderella's castle, and I actually went and did it in the style that it's already open. So the first side that I'm building on with the stairs is kind of like the entranceway, and then the opposite side is going to be where all of the rooms and the ballroom and the dance floor are. And a lot of the things that you're going to see in this build may not make sense to like a real house or a real castle or anything like that, but it's not supposed to because it is a dollhouse replica. And I went off of a couple images and a YouTube video. There's a YouTuber who literally uploads just like a couple minute clips of her, I think just to show the toys off. I guess that she probably has a bunch of them. I'm not really sure the context, but it was really helpful when I was doing this build because it allowed me to see both the front and the back in detail. And what I always say with these builds whenever I do like a dollhouse style build is, again, if something looks funny, it's probably because that's how it looked in the dollhouse, and it doesn't really have to make sense in a lot of ways. So if I randomly place a piece of furniture, or if something is duplicated, or if there's a room that isn't accessible in any way, shape, or form, it is probably because that is how it was designed in the dollhouse. And one of the things that is always the biggest struggle whenever I do these builds is stairs, because for all intents and purposes, I do want you to be able to play on the lot, so I try my hardest to make everything accessible because I think that that's the most fun way to do these style builds. Like, it's half and half because it's almost like, what's the point in doing these if you can't play with them? But also, they're not really designed to be played with, so it's kind of a catch-22. So stairs are usually a problem, and they were a problem with this build in particular because where the stairs needed to go was on a diagonal. And I have talked about this so many times, so I'm not going to go into my rant, but you cannot put stairs on the diagonal in The Sims 4, and so if you accidentally build an entire structure, hours and hours into it, realize that you did not leave room for stairs, then you're not going to be able to access anything on the diagonal, which is exactly what I did in this build. And there was absolutely no going back or no changing anything once I had gotten that far because this was hours of work. And on top of the 3.5 hour build that this was, I also took an hour to landscape the entire 64 by 64, and that part is not in the video. I probably should have left it, but this video was getting a little bit long, and I don't know how people feel about landscaping. Like, I feel like it's one of those things where you either love to watch it or you're like bored out of your mind. So I did leave it. It will be in the screenshots at the end, and I think the landscaping really brings this whole thing to life. I was debating in general about landscaping because it is a dollhouse, so in a lot of ways I want it to look like one big structure that kind of gets put down on the property and not really have anything else around it, because that wouldn't make sense for the toy, because the toy doesn't have anything else around it. But the lot just looked so bare, and when I did the landscaping afterwards, it really brought everything to life. Like, I put in pools and ponds and lots of trees and gardens and beautiful like colors, really what it truly needed, because I don't know if anybody is familiar. If you're a big Disney fan, you're probably somewhat familiar, but there is an artist, and he's actually one of my favorite artists, and his name is Thomas Kincaid. And he does what I think he's most famous for, at least per me. I'm sure he's done lots and lots of other stuff, but how I discovered Thomas Kincaid was through puzzles. So I do these Disney puzzles from time to time, and they can be found at like Barnes & Noble or Books A Million if you have any of those kinds of stores. They are these Disney puzzles, but they are so detailed, and they're based off of artwork by Thomas Kincaid. And if you look them up, they are just the most incredible pieces of art. And what he'll do is he'll take like a famous Disney movie, like he's done Lion King, Peter Pan, all of the Disney princesses, Mickey and Minnie, Aristocats, and he'll just make these beautiful paintings of every character and all of the scenery, and usually the castles and anything like important from the movies he'll include in these giant pieces, and they're so incredibly detailed and so beautiful, and I am obsessed with them. So I do the puzzles. I do not have the Cinderella one, but I thought to myself when I was doing this build, at the end I want a landscape, but I want to base it off of something. Like, I'm not the best landscaper. I can never decide when is too much, like what is too many trees, what is too many bushes, because if it was up to me, I would probably cover the whole thing in all sorts of greenery. But the problem is that greenery can be really overwhelming in The Sims and really distracting. And after I had built this whole castle for like 3 hours, I didn't want anything to take away from it. I only wanted to add. So I was like, I'm gonna go look up the Cinderella Thomas Kincaid painting and see what he did for the landscaping around the castle. So I really heavily based the landscaping off of that. And if you're a Disney fan, I highly recommend you go and look up some of his paintings, because you're going to be in awe. They're just so beautiful, and the puzzles are so fun because it's like a happy medium. Like, you get to have the artwork and it's also something to do, because I don't know, I'm not a huge fan. This is like a really weird tangent, but I'm not a huge fan of hanging up random pieces of artwork. Like, they always have to be kind of important to me. So a lot of times nothing really gets hung on my walls unless I painted it, or like I'll hang puzzles up. I love to do puzzles. I have almost all of the Disney princess ones, except I do not have any of the Cinderella ones. And I also don't have this secondary set, which I've been trying to get my hands on. And I think they sell out because they're just like that beautiful. He has this one box set that comes with Peter Pan, Lion King, 101 Dalmatians, and I think something else. And I haven't been able to get my hands on that yet. My goal is to someday do all the puzzles and literally put them on the wall all next to each other and have them all nice and pretty. But I'm slowly working my way there, because obviously puzzles take a really long time. And the thing about doing a puzzle too is, this is so boring and such a weird random tangent, but I'm going to talk about it anyway because it's my video. You can't do a puzzle if you don't have the space for it. And also, there's a lot of ways that a puzzle can get ruined. Like, we used to have cats when we lived in our old house. Nate's family had cats, and they've ruined like puzzles that I've been doing before, or perler bead patterns and giant like pieces of artwork. I was working on this one perler bead pattern, and if you watch my vlogs, you know that like I do them, and I do like the massive ones. Like, I love to do a good like couple thousand piece perler bead board and just iron the whole thing together, and like love it. I love to do that stuff, but they're easily ruined. And one time I was working on this giant Legend of Zelda piece where I literally made Link, and I made him from the top down, and I think it was the version from Skyward Sword. It was very detailed. It had to be like 7,000 or 8,000 perler beads, and I was about halfway through it, and I had it up on the top of my dresser, and one day I came home from work and it was completely destroyed. And I came to the conclusion that somebody had let the cat in my room, and the cat's first instinct obviously was to get as high as possible in the room, which was my banister or my dresser, and completely destroyed it, like to a point where it was irreversible and I could not do anything except start over. And I was so annoyed with it that I just never started over, obviously, because it just never happened. And I was so excited when I got to move, because I realized I was going to have more space to do things like that. But since I've moved, I haven't had more time to do things like that, so I haven't really gotten back into doing any of them. They're all kind of just sitting in a corner of my room, and actually I was looking at them the other day and thinking about how I should probably take some time for myself and actually get around to doing some of the things that I like to do. I tried to put as many details into this castle as possible. There is a little house on the outside. It doesn't function. I suppose you could make it function if you wanted to decorate it. A lot of the walls in this are kind of conflicting with each other because the towers are not meant to be accessible. They weren't accessible in the toy, so I wasn't worried about you being able to go inside of them. So for that reason, a lot of the walls are, if you like take the walls down, you might notice that some have really random walls that come in and out of, and it was more to make it look like one solid piece and less because I was considering at all whether or not it was going to be working, because I just didn't care when I was building because it's not supposed to work. I try my hardest to make them like reasonably functional, but again, I always say to myself, like, what would somebody use this for? Because if this was me watching this video, I would enjoy the video for its content and just enjoy that somebody had made like something new, because I think that when people think of my channel or when people tell me something that they love to watch by me, it's Polly Pocket houses. Usually it's the thing that like I'm known for, I guess you could say, if I have a thing that I'm known for. I really don't know. And so I think that that would be just like something, if I was an outsider looking in, that I would watch for, but not necessarily like care whether or not they worked, because personally, I don't play with lots like this in The Sims. They're just fun for me to build and really fun for me to get my creativity out there, but not necessarily to play with. That being said, a lot of people really do download these off of the gallery, especially now that I don't use custom content in my builds anymore. People really love these, and like when I put them on the gallery, I will immediately start getting downloads from them, and I think there's like a little group of people that download all of them. And I'm always curious because it's such a weird lot to have in your game, and I'm always curious what people are doing with them. The only thing that I can think that you would use this for possibly is some kind of either like fantasy ballroom or fun party lot, or I guess you could possibly use it for like a giant dollhouse for like children, like a clubhouse maybe. I really don't know. I don't know. But people download them and people love them, and I appreciate the support that I get when I do these kinds of builds so incredibly much, because I work so hard on these. So when people react positively to something that you've worked hard on, obviously you're going to be very happy with that. Another big struggle with this entire build was just getting everything even, because it was supposed to be symmetrical. There are things that don't match, like things that do not mirror each other, but it opens down the middle, so obviously everything should be exactly spaced out on the left and the right hand side, and I wanted it to at least look that way even if it wasn't. Can I just say for a minute, can I go off on a side rant and say that it's incredibly annoying how we do not have like gigantic doors for castles yet, like a door that takes up maybe 2 levels instead, or 4 levels or something like massive, where you could have like these giant doors for drawbridges and for just castles. Like we need these big gigantic grand doors, because I think when I think of Cinderella and what obviously they were thinking of when they made this house, one of the scenes that I remember is Cinderella walking up to the castle and the gigantic grand door and her looking up at it, and then her kind of like walking down the main hallway past all of the guards that are standing in the hallway because she's late. And that grand door is like so iconic and so necessary for these kinds of builds. So what I ended up doing was taking 3 doors and putting it all the way across, but it's still not the same, like nowhere close. In fact, in the toy, the door was as big as the archway that is on the top of the stairs there. So that's why I kind of put that archway there and the big curtain to kind of mimic that. It doesn't really work, but it made me feel a little bit better about how I was designing everything. And I don't know, it's just really annoying that we haven't gotten anything like that yet. I understand, I guess, why we wouldn't, because it's something that you would only use in very specific situations. But it kind of seems like something that's necessary with all of the random creativity that goes on in this community and all of the things that people are constantly building and constantly coming up with new ideas. There just is a lack of things to help with those kind of really creative out of the box ideas, I guess you could say. We're actually getting closer to the end of this build here, like not incredibly close, but I just wanted to say a couple of really quick things. One, I am so happy to announce that we have finally hit 900 subscribers and so very close to the big 1,000 goal, which was my goal when I started my channel, and I have started almost a year ago. I started in October, I believe. It was either early October or late October, so it has been almost a year. It's been a little bit under a year, and I do think I'm going to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So I am very, very, very excited, and I just wanted to thank you guys again, because if you're here, especially, this is a long video, so if you made it all the way to the end of this video and you're still listening to me talk, then you are a true subscriber and a true fan, and I appreciate you more than you could possibly ever know. And it's people like you that keep me going, and I am just like so excited to see where this channel keeps going and keeps growing, and who I meet along the way. And truly, like, people that comment in my comment section, especially those of you who comment frequently that I see all the time. I memorize your names, obviously, and people who follow me on Twitter and really interact with me over there. It's way more like a friendship than it is like a subscriber. Like, you guys are not subscribers. You're definitely friends, especially when I interact with you on a daily basis. And I appreciate the friendship so much, because I definitely feel like a lot of YouTubers say this, but when I was growing up in school, I was definitely just such a quiet little soul and just very much kept to myself and kept my opinions to myself and literally just ghosted by and did nothing and was not popular and was not like important in the spectrum or any way, shape, or form. In fact, I would even be amazed if I got invited to like my high school reunion or anything, because that's how little I did not matter and like did not exist. So to have a platform where I can be creative, talk to people, get to know people, everybody's so kind and encouraging and supportive, and it's everything. It's everything that I could have ever asked for. And like I keep saying, I cannot wait to see where this keeps going and where we all end up. And I am so happy with everybody who decides that they're going to keep watching my videos and supporting my content and join me on my little journey to wherever this takes me. So thank you guys a million times forever. You don't even know what it means to me. When I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm probably going to say that over and over again. And when I hit whatever, if I was to ever hit 10,000 subscribers, I would say it over and over and over again. It would never change. It means so much to me. And I feel like that's overused, because a lot of YouTubers are like, it means so much, but it literally does. It literally does. And I think about it every day, and YouTube has slowly but surely become my entire life. So thank you to everybody who supports me. I absolutely cannot say it enough how grateful I am. Anyway, lastly, I do a racing vlog over on my personal channel, or a vlog called Racing Madness, and I've talked about it before on this channel. It is going to be ending because it is the end of the race season. In fact, this Friday is championship night, so I am making one final vlog for Racing Madness, and then I am going to be putting out a lot of like other content that I have been thinking about and making lists for, and I have so many ideas of things that I want to do that are, I think, maybe a little bit different than some of the stuff that I've seen on YouTube so far. I try not to borrow ideas from people. I try not to be very basic, and I try to always think outside of the box or think progressively. And so I have a list of all these ideas of things that I want to do, and once Racing Madness is over, I will be able to put a lot more time and effort into that channel, because I don't have to go to the racetrack on Fridays, which means one more day that I can work. And I also don't have to do any more website work, because I do a lot of website work for the race season. So once that's over, I can put all of that time that I was using into my personal channel. So you can expect that I will be uploading over there personal videos a couple of times a week. I want to do story times. I really don't want to tell you guys what I want to do, because I don't want any of my ideas to get out there before I do them. But I'm going to try my best to be very creative, and if you enjoy my videos over here, and if you enjoy listening to me talk, that channel is a lot more my personality. I am a lot more raunchy. I speak my mind. I really say what I want and what I truly feel, because this channel is very PG. It's always been PG. It's always going to stay that way. That channel is definitely not PG, and I like to have the differences in levels and the escape where I can like say things that I want to over there that I couldn't say on this channel. So I highly recommend you go over there for more content. I really, really, really appreciate anybody who has taken the time to check out that channel already. It will be linked at the end of this video. It's always linked in my description box down below. I do this series called Drunk Disney where I drink and try and retell the story back to the camera. Haven't done one in a little while, but I do plan on filming one this weekend, and lots of stuff like that. Like, you can expect so much random crap to come out over there, but I really put as much effort into that channel as I do this one. So I would appreciate it because that channel is basically getting a revamp. And I guess I wanted to just do like a little shameless self-plug. So we're at the end of this video. This is available for download on the gallery under my origin ID, theallegedsimmer, all one word. Please let me know what you think of this house and the castle and the dollhouse series and everything. And if you went and subscribed to my personal channel, comment down below and let me know what you think about it, because that would be the most amazing thing ever in the whole wide world times a billion. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that little bell icon below to turn on post notifications so you can get updated every single time that I post, and I will talk to you all in the next one.